Hello, in this video I'll be talking about Boswellia neglecta, which is also known as black frankincense, and Dakkara by the Kenyan natives. This type of frankincense, you can find this tree growing in Kenya, mostly in Kenya, but also in the other countries surrounding it, I would assume, such as Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, and Uganda. This type of frankincense has a very distinct smell and taste compared to the other types of frankincense such as Sacra, Papyrifera, Carteri, and Green Hojari. And what in this video, I'm going to be doing a taste test and a smell test of the black frankincense, that in the Latin name being Boswellia neglecta, for the tree at least. I will also, before I go ahead and do the smell and taste test, I'll be also talking about some of the properties and uses of this particular type of frankincense. I personally noticed that black frankincense improves my sleep quality. When you apply a little bit of it before you go to sleep, of the essential oil, I actually have a bottle of it made by or acquired by Dan Riegler. He has a shop called Apothecary's Garden on Etsy. You can find his wares and goods, in Apothecary's Garden. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. So anyway, I found that the essential oil of Boswellia neglecta is very calming, is very not exactly tranquilizing, but promotes tranquility, and makes you feel very peaceful, and and to a certain extent is a sedative, such that if you apply some of this essential oil on your skin before you go to sleep, I usually apply some to my chest, then I find myself sleeping a lot more, that my quality of sleep is improved, so to speak. I also, Boswellia neglecta is also very useful for anxiety, for counteracting anxiety and stress. For example, the natives use it, burn this type of frankincense under a pregnant woman when she's giving birth, or when when she's feeling pain, to calm her down and make her feel less stressed from that situation. And I do believe this type of frankincense also promotes good breathing. So, Boswellia neglecta, this particular type of black frankincense, has some important constituents that are active. For example, incensol and incensol acetate. These two types of compounds are the active ingredients you can find in the Boswellia neglecta gum, but you may not be able to find it in the essential oil depending on how long the essential oil was distilled. The properties, if you want me to go ahead and list down the properties and effects of Boswellia neglecta, I'll go ahead and do that. It is an analgesic, it is an antifungal, it is an anti-inflammatory, it is an antioxidant, it is an antiseptic, an astringent, a carminative, a digestive, a diuretic, an expectorant, a mosquito repellent, a sedative, as I've mentioned before, a tonic, which is a substance that's used to make a person have a feeling of vigor, a vulnerary, meaning vulnerary. So this is a substance that improves the wound healing, and it's also used for treating gonorrhea. And I'll go ahead and do the smell and taste test of this particular type of frankincense now. So in this part of the video, I'm going to go ahead and do a smell test for the black frankincense. I'll do so by burning the frankincense on a coal. The first step, if you want to burn the frankincense on a coal, is to light up the coal. Usually, if you want to light up less frankincense, you would cut the coal in half, or to the desired size piece for the desired size frankincense. So I'll go ahead and light up the coal like this with a lighter, and just let it start burning up. And then you want to set the coal down But of course, you want to be careful not to asphyxiate the flame. Once it once the starts burning like evenly, then you can set it down. Now the whole coal is lighted. You want to wait until the whole coal becomes grayish whitish, before you set down the piece of frankincense. That way, you can have more of the smell preserved, more of the incense preserved as an aromatic smell, instead of most of the frankincense just burning on contact. Usually, and in other words, a lower heat is better for burning frankincense instead of a higher heat. That's why you wait until the coal becomes grayish whitish. Right now, it's going to be a very high heat, and yeah. So although the coal isn't entirely grayish whitish color, I'm gonna go ahead and start burning the frankincense and give you a description of what it smells like. So let's say I want to burn, say, maybe this piece, and I broke that frankincense piece into smaller pieces so it fit on the coal properly. So it has a very plant kind of green smell to it. As it smells like other types of frankincense, but it doesn't have that lemony smell to it. So I get a hint of sweet camphor and a little bit of a spice, a spicy cumin, but it's perhaps the coal was a bit too hot. It has a woody, a balsamic woody undertone to it. It has a very mellowed down smell, and it's actually not too hard to inhale. But I personally find that the essential oil is very delightful to smell, and I can't really find a distinct smell to this particular resin, except that it's a bit spicy and a bit balsamic, and some hints of camphor, as I've mentioned before. It's very mellow, and so perhaps if you want to use this for its smell, this is best to use the essential oil for if you want to preserve its smell. On its own, I can't detect much of a smell, but it's very mellowed down. More like it has a musty, earthy smell to it. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and do a taste test of the Boswellia Neglecta. And personally, before I go ahead and do that, I found that the incense was more therapeutic than as something you'd burn for the nice smell. The smell I would describe as like woody and maybe a little balsamic, maybe a little bit of camphor, but I couldn't detect that much of a significant aromatic smell to it. I think this particular type of resin is better to use therapeutically than for its smell. If you want to use it for its smell, I would suggest going with the essential oil, and it's very strong and it's very clean and aromatic, and I actually enjoy it quite a bit. And the essential oil has a very nice camphorous, spicy cumin smell to it. That's sweet. That's balsamic with a hint of vanilla. It's very nice. I like it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and do a taste test of Boswellia neglecta. It's very hard to chew. It's herby. I also smelled some kind of like herby kind of smell when I was burning it as an incense. Very hard to chew. It's quite herby. It's like bitter sour, not exactly bitter, but it has a sour taste to it. I'm starting to get the camphor, the camphorous taste. Slightly bitter, slightly camphorous. Has a very dark flavor. It's not bright and floral and fruity, but dark. And so I would say that Boswellia neglecta is slightly bitter. It's kind of herbal, a bitter herbal, a sourness to it. So it's slightly bitter. It's sour, slightly sour. It has a herbal flavor to it. It has a spicy undertone of cumin, and it's also has some camphorous notes to it. So that's the taste description of what Boswellia neglecta tastes like. It's interesting. It's not like it's quite different than other types of frankincense. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'd appreciate if you like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Bye.